In this video, I'm going to show you 3 tips on how to make your flight plans going smoother for your first time submission. G'day, it's Mick Callan here from AeroPower, and recently we've had just a couple of students coming through making some errors, very simple mistakes when they submit their flight plan to air services for the flight notifications, mainly for the navigation flights. What I want to do is just very quickly take you through 3 areas where people can get tripped up. So the first one is looking at the direct or DCT abbreviation, this first column. The second one we'll cover is looking through the 3 different ways that you can describe the waypoints in your navigation flight. And the last one is just to revise how we do our change of levels and change of speeds in the flight plan. Here we have the flight plan submission page in NAIPS, and this is what you expect to see when you submit your flight plan. So I haven't filled in the top details, we're really just looking at the route description section. The first one we're going to look at is the use here in the first column of DCT. The easiest way to get your head around this is DCT is essentially short for direct to, and the way we read it is a bit of a story. So what we're trying to do is explain where we're going on our flight. And the way to read it is we are departing from Redcliffe, so in this case the abbreviation YRED. Okay, we are then going direct to our first significant point, which in this case is Sunshine Coast, and we'll come back and look at these next points shortly and how we use the different formats. But what we're saying is we're going from our departure direct to our first point, and then from each of these points down till we get to our last point, and then we're going from our last point direct to our destination. And so this is how we want to have it set up on the left hand side. The first one will always be direct, we have our routes, and then the last one here is direct. We don't want to put direct on this line here, which is what some people are doing, or putting direct on every single line. So again, you're reading the story, we're going from our departure direct to our first point, and then we have our points we're going to. When we get to our last point, we're going direct to our destination. The second area we're going to look at is underneath the significant point and the different formats that we can use to describe the location we're going to. Now again, if you're not sure and you want to get a refresher on this, if you jump into en route 1.10, you'll find a whole section here that goes through each item in the flight plan and will break it down. And you can see here it describes different ways. So the first way we can do it is to use an abbreviation for the airfield we're going to, or the navigation aid. So we'll look at that. Next one is lat and long, and then we can use the distance and bearing, which is really useful. So let's break through each of these. The first one, really straightforward. You can get the code for the airport. In this case, it's Sunshine Coast and YBSU, and that will describe that location. So it's really easy if you're going to an airport. The second one is you can grab any lat and longitude from the map, from the URSA, and put that in. I don't tend to use that because when we're in the aircraft, if you look at that, it's not particularly useful. You can't sort of convert that into something really easy on the fly in terms of where it is. But that's quite valid in terms of using a point, and the format is there. It's in minutes and degrees, and you can copy it from the AIP there. The next one is, again, there's a whole heap of VFR codes out there that we can use. A lot of these unfortunately need a little bit of local knowledge to know there is actually a code there for it and getting used to it. These are in the back of URSA. There's a section called VFR encode or decode, and you can see if you look through here, you can break it up. So we've got Brisbane CBD is BCTY, there's the GABA, there's a bunch of other ones. The TV towers are another good one here for Mount Cootha, and your local area, just get to know what the local ones are. So you can see here Bribie Island BBI, Bribie Island Bridge, BBBBG, and those you can basically put straight into your flight plan, and the system will convert that to that location. So that's another really easy way of putting it in. And the last one is describing where the location is we're tracking to, reference another location. So this one's a good example. We're going to, or from Archerfield to a location which is going to be 270 degrees magnetic, so west of Archerfield, at 35 nautical miles, so 035. So it should be a 6-figure group. The first 3 figures are the magnetic bearing, and the last 3 are the distance. And this is really useful, especially if it's your first point, because you've already worked out when you take off that you're tracking, you know what your track is, you know the distance. So you can just put that down to describe that first point. If you're going to a windmill or a hill or something that's your turn point,
And again, it's really good for your last point as well, because you already, again, know the distance and bearing from your destination from that last leg. So you can put that in from that. Last section we're going to look at today is the speed and level. So the way to read this is we start off and put our first level altitude in here. So in this case, we're leaving at 1,500. And we're going to maintain that. We get to Sunshine Coast and we're going to track to Conondale. I'll just show you again on Google Maps how I grab that. So you can basically find the area you're going to, right click and then get the details and copy it. Now, there's two different formats here for latitude and longitude. We want the degrees and minutes and not the decimal place when we put that into our flight plan. So slight diversion there. Okay, so again, we get to Conondale, which is the second point, and we climb to 2,500 feet for our next leg to Brisbane City. Get to Brisbane City, and then we're tracking to a point west of Archerfield, and we're climbing to 4,500 feet, then into Toowoomba. That's how you would read that. Whenever we have a figure here for a change of level or a change of speed, we have to put both in. So in this case, to make this flight plan work, I'd have to put in knots. In this case, we'd go 080, so 80 knots. And again, even if we're not changing our speed, we'll need to still put the speed in. Same thing, if for whatever reason you decide to fly a leg at a different airspeed, you would nominate the airspeed difference here. And even if you don't change your level, you would still then have to also fill out the level. So whenever you get one of these boxes filled, you should fill out the one beside it. That's just a couple of quick areas to look at in your flight plan, just so you can get that filled out and you can get it submitted correctly the first time. That's just based on common mistakes we've seen people making recently. If you've got a good flight plan tip, then make sure you leave it in the comments below so that other people can learn from that as well. And thanks very much for watching.